I heard this happen like maybe a little bit ago.
Two things I have to tell you before we start today's video.
What's the
first
first
one?
thing?
I'm keeping the mustache. Yeah, it's my Moist Moguls playoff stash, and I'm rocking that shit all the way through, baby.
All right.
The second one, I'm not really a big fan of League of Legends, at least as a player. I had a short stint in Season 3 with my Fiddlesticks, but I retired at the
actually I did play one game of League of Legends, but other than that, I have never played League of Legends. Never.
proud rank of Bronze 3, and since then have not really touched the game. Except for one time where Tyler 1 yelled at me. And so I come to you today less as a fan of League of Legends and more so as a fan of esports, as an esports owner. So take everything I say with a grain of salt and understand I'm not super ingrained with the scene. Having said that, there is some huge drama happening in the LCS that we need to talk about. But first, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. All right, everybody, it's time to put on your big boy pants and start using a browser made for adults, which is why I'm happy to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Opera GX.
Yeah.
It's time to break up with your boring browser and move over to Opera GX, and I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why it's a good idea.
Why?
The first one is the most important feature. It's called GX Control. Basically, this allows you to throttle your CPU usage or RAM usage on your browser so that it's not destroying your computer like some other browsers. I pulled up a side-by-side comparison of Opera GX using GX Control and then a competing browser both playing a similar YouTube video. And it turns out that Opera GX uses a whole lot less CPU with that throttle feature. It also allows you to throttle upload speeds.
It's crazy how much space a browser can use. I remember I had to buy my mom a gaming PC just so she could have 400 tabs open at the same time,
which can be super convenient. Feature number 2 is the one I use the most. It's basically a picture-in-picture, but it is amazing. You click one single button on any YouTube video or stream, and instantly it's just a beautiful box in the corner of your screen that you can adjust the size of, and it stays open no matter what browser you're on. It also stays open even if you minimize out of the browser and you start working on a Word doc or PDF. Finally, I got to tell you about the Opera GX mods, which are super easy to install.
Is this like a
search through their
music
store. They
from
have
Yoshi's
hundreds
Story?
and hundreds of options. They even have a Ludwig mod, which I don't know why 2,000 people
Why
have
they make him
downloaded it,
fat?
but it looks like this.
Yo,
Enjoy!
bro, why they do that to him?
Basically, the mod allows you to have a little fun. Anytime you open a browser or type on your keyboard or close a browser or click a window, it'll make a custom sound. And you don't just have to use the Ludwig mod, they also have it for lo-fi, Game Boy sounds, a whole load of stuff that I'm sure you'll find one that is suited to your taste. And if you click my link in the description, you'll have access to GX Corner, which will not only show you some cool games that might be coming out, but also my 12 most recent YouTube videos. So you'll never miss an upload, which you definitely will not want to do because you love watching Mogul Mail. So do me a favor and download the link in the description and get started with a better browser today. Opera GX, thank you for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. And if you don't know, LCS is the shorthand for the North American League of Legends scene. LCS is in turmoil.
I have no idea what LCS stands for. I never have. I just know it's the league thing.
There are 3 major parties causing this turmoil. The first one is Riot Games, the creator of League of Legends. The second one are the 10 team owners, the TSMs, the Team Liquids
League
of the world, who
Championship
make
Series.
up
That's
the LCS.
crazy.
And the final one are the 50-plus players, the player association, that make up all of the team's players, the people who actually play the goddamn game really, really well.
Yeah.
And I should preface this, if you don't watch League, that it is not doing great in North America. It is not a wonderful time to be an LCS fan because viewership is way, way down. This is over the past 5+ years. You can see that the number not going up, it going down, and that usually.
Let's see. God damn, this shit's way lower. Look at that. So it's not even. This is not even like a COVID situation, because like 2017 was at 600. They hadn't gotten to 600 at all. 2019, before COVID, was 599. And now it's almost only at 250K, it's 270K. Yeah, why though? Here's why I think. Like, I think League has just been out for a really long time, and I think maybe people are tired of it. Like, that's kind of like that's my vibe. Like, I think it's old, right? Like, there's only one game that has stood the test of time, maybe 2, like with Melee, but like that's Counter-Strike. Other than that, I feel like, you know, games come and go. Dota, yeah, Dota 2 is the same. I don't know if Dota viewership is the same as League's. I don't have that data. I don't have the Dota data.
Means bad things. 640K was peak in 2017, and they are down to 270K in their most recent spring split finals. These are not good numbers, but it does not mean League as a whole is dying. It's sometimes memed as a dead game, but the viewership for their big Super Bowl event, the Worlds event, was better than ever last year.
Well,
peaked at 5.1 million viewers.
Holy
I don't know how much I necessarily trust that number, but I do know it is on the up as a whole. So league across the world, great. League in North America, not so great. Why is that? Well, if I'm being frank, they're dog shit. Compared to the rest of the world, they're dog shit. They're way better than me. They are professional gamers at their core, but they had their worst performance ever at Worlds. They went 3-15, and the best.
Oh wow!
They have ever.
What does Ludwig know? He saw the number 3-15, and he drew a conclusion from that number. I think a lot of people can draw a conclusion from 3-15. I don't think you need to be a challenger level league player to know that. Seems pretty fair.
On the global stage against Europe, against China, against Korea, some of the better regions, is getting to the semifinals. They've never gotten to the finals, and they've never won the World Championship. They've just gotten to the semifinals. Mm-hmm. And all of that has made a bit of a drought in LCS in terms of viewership, new players, and all that good stuff that helps a thriving esport grow. And because things aren't doing so well, there have been requests for some changes. Specifically, there was a request recently from the 10 teams who all signed to remove the mandate to have an NACL team. And it's at this point I should explain to you that every single team who has an LCS spot, a major league spot, also needs to have a minor league spot, aka an NACL team. And much like baseball, these are farm teams. It's not like your minor league team moves up to the major leagues. You just hope to cultivate young North American talent in the minor leagues that can promote them to the major leagues once they've reached a good spot of learning how to play with the pros. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
But it hasn't super worked well. I'm being kind of nice here. It hasn't worked at all. There's not a lot of young, new NA talent. Most really good NA teams are good because they've imported players from other regions. That's just the reality of the situation. And so there has been a mandate that every major league team has to have a minor league team, and the teams are saying, it's too expensive to have a major league team and a minor league team. Can we just have our major league team, please? And Riot Games said, yeah. You know what? We thought about it, and we will eliminate the mandate to have a minor league team, an NACL team, starting with summer 2023.
Okay.
This request came in literally May 6th and May 12th. A week later, they're like, let's do it. Bang, let's do it.
Okay.
Very, very quick turnaround, which is kind of fucked up. Because on the side, Riot Games was talking to the LCS Player Association, all the players that make up the major leagues, and they said that they won't do anything to the NACL until 2024. We'll have to discuss some changes, but we promise it's not going to be till 2024. Not only that, but we'll also make sure you're at the table when we have those discussions. That's not how it plays.
I'm going to just say nobody's at the table except for Riot. They own the game. They own the rights to the game. They own the broadcasting for the game. They own everything about it. So if people don't like it, they can get the fuck out and more people are going to come in. Yeah, they own the entire table. Like, it might make the players feel good that they can come and talk about it. But the truth is that, Tencent owns Riot. You're right about that. But, I mean, the players never had a chance to begin with. That's just the way esports are.
Played out at all. Riot went ahead with acquiescing to the requests of the teams without actually contacting any of the player association. And the player association was pretty upset about that because they were supposed to be at least a part of the table when decisions like this were made.
I don't understand. Like, maybe this is a bad take, but like, I just don't see why Riot is in the wrong for removing a mandate that they have to keep a second team on life support for no reason. Like, am I missing something? Like, if it's not profitable and they're not getting a benefit from it, lost jobs? So now we can't... Of course people are going to lose their jobs. That's what happens. Like, bro, like, you don't have a right to have a job in an esports team, man. Like, that's insane.
And so what did they do in response to that? Well, they decided to have a vote for a walkout.
Okay.
Something that has never been done, as far as I'm aware, in esports history, where all of the players would not appear for the start of the summer split, which is the most important split because the winners of the summer split get the chance to compete in Worlds, the most prestigious event, I would argue, in esports, maybe with the exception of the international, but definitely up there, a huge event that nobody wants to miss. So they decided to walk out, skip the start, which was supposed to be tomorrow, this Thursday. And that vote happened, and it overwhelmingly passed. This is not a decision LCS players have come to lightly. Countless discussions and debates were had between all LCS players in the week leading up to this historic vote. And so that was their call. We are not going to show up for our games. And not only that, they had a list of 5 asks for Riot Games, 5 things that they wanted to talk about before they would consider going back to play. And their asks of Riot was to institute a Valorant-style promotion relegation between the LCS and the NACL. So rather than the baseball-style Major League, Minor League, where you're using the minor league teams as farm teams to get Major League talent, you want basically relegation systems, like how soccer works in the UK, or how the current Valorant system, like they've spoken here, works, where if a team performs really poorly, they get kicked out. They go to the minor leagues. And if a minor league team performs really well, they go to the major leagues. What else did they want? They wanted a commit of a revenue pool for player salaries of $300K per team. Basically remove the burden from the teams to pay for all these players and give the burden to Riot Games. They wanted to allow LCS orgs to partner with...
I do think that in this position, Riot probably should pay out the salaries for the NACL teams. Because they said and they told the players that they weren't going to make any decisions. And I think that it does fall on them to pay out the players because that is what they said. It was a fuck up on their end. Yeah, it was a fuck up on their end. I don't think it's a big deal. Riot's a multi-billion-dollar company. They can pay it out. Pay them for 6 months and fuck off? Yeah, exactly. Like, pay out the rest of their contracts that would have ended in 2024, and then just don't pay them after that. I think that's what's fair.
With affiliates for cost sharing, which I think just means, like, hey, if the team can't afford it, maybe they partner with someone who can. Then they asked for Riot to guarantee LCS minimum contracts for the following year for the 5 players who won the LCS Summer Finals. Basically, you know, if they won, give them a little bone. They want give Dog a bone for winning. And then the final one was instituting a 3/5 roster continuity rule to provide players on released NACL rosters first priority in maintaining their slot in the upcoming NACL season if a majority continue to compete together. Which I think is a long-winded way of saying, hey, can it be the players' decision to stick together and not the team's decisions to stick together? Please, if most of them want to stick together. And that was their big asks. And Riot, during all of this, initially didn't really respond to the asks. They responded to the walkout. They were really concerned that the summer split wasn't going to start.
Yeah,
because
of course.
Although LCS in North American League is not growing and is not the biggest and is not the best, it is the flagship of all League of Legends esports. It's what kicked everything off. Before there was LEC, European or Chinese or Korean league teams in competitions, there was North American League competitions. That's all there was at a certain point. So I think it holds a level of prestige that some of the other regions don't because of that, although that prestige is quickly fading. And so what did they want?
I mean, if it held that prestige, then people would watch it. I mean, there it is.
They wanted to ensure that tomorrow's date, Thursday, the summer split would actually start. So they allowed teams to sign players outside the window when they normally would, and this broke live on stream when Travis Gafford leaked some of the other decisions Riot was making.
For multiple sources.
Breaking news alert.
Within an hour of the show starting, that Riot is officially suspending the requirements to play in the LCS. So now you can be of any rank, and you can play from anywhere. You can play from home even on Thursday if you would like to be a pro player. So
we're all pro players
Mark,
now.
Phil, we're all eligible to compete in the LCS at this time.
That is a huge bomb that Travis just dropped.
Yep.
Basically, the players are saying, hey,
Maybe I should
we are
join.
striking until you meet or talk to us about our list of asks.
Yeah.
And Riot Games in return said, hey, teams, you can sign literally anybody with a heartbeat. Just get 5 fuckers on that stage so we can start our goddamn summer split, which is crazy. This is
there you go. There you go. I mean, like, here's the reality, right? I mean, you've got a group of people that are doing a walkout for a game. Meanwhile, viewership is going down the fucking toilet. Nobody gives a shit about it. They're losing constantly. And they have the audacity to fucking do a walkout and write a list of demands? Bro, you're lucky Riot doesn't list you a list of demands. Like, you think anybody gives a fuck about this? Absolutely not. And if they did, they would have watched it in the first place. Yeah, I mean, there you go. You want to pick up your things and go home? Okay.
Equivalent of coal mine workers going on strike, and then the coal mine company going to their nearest high school and saying, hey, kids, I've always heard you're yearning for what we do.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that League of
that'd be
Legends
middle school,
competition
not high
should
school.
be kept to the professionals, and that Riot Games should not be going around the professionals to try to get any heartbeat on stage just to ensure that their competition will start on their timeline.
Well, I think that's what they're going to do, right? Because it's like, again, how do you have all of these demands, but these demands are tied to an event which the event's broadcasting value is going down dramatically by like double-digit percentage numbers year over year. Like, why would you, like, why, like, look at it from Riot's perspective, like, why would they want to make those people happy? People are tired of the lack of diversity in NA teams. No girls, no dreads, no braids, no sombreros. It's the same lineup over and over again. I bet nobody'd be giving a fuck if it was 5 white guys or 5 Asian dudes or 5 black guys or anything, as long as they were winning. It's that they're not. It's good. The problem is that they're losing and that the teams are not competitive. That's the problem.
The Player Association not happy with that. The LCSPA has been aware for over a week of attempts to require teams to field scab players at the start of the season. We continue to actively reach out to players outside the LCS with a clear and simple message. Do not play for any LCS org as a replacement player.
Yeah.
This is a walkout to benefit all league players in America. Crossing the line puts all players' futures at risk. LCS, NACL, and amateur. Crossing the line undermines player negotiating power. And if you have agreed to be a replacement contract, please contact us to navigate your situation. Basically, hey, don't cross our picket fence. We are trying hard to help everybody. And it seems like the Players Association call to not cross the picket fence worked, because yesterday, Riot Games announced that they were going to delay the start of the summer split for 2 more weeks. Nobody's going to be playing League of Legends this coming Thursday. The pro scene is not going to start.
Okay.
But they also responded to the 5 requests from the Player Association. Starting with the first one, which I thought had the most legs, which was instituting a Valorant-style promotion relegation between the majors and the minor leagues. And they said expanding the league in order to implement a Valorant-style visitor slot system would run counter to our existing partnership model with the 10 LCS teams who paid 10 mil per slot to compete in the league. It would dilute LCS teams' equity and put considerable downward pressure on the amount of revenue, our league rev pool, that we share with the teams. More teams in the pool would dilute the revenue that we share 50% with our teams under the partnership model. Given the challenging macroeconomic climate, expanding the league is not a good idea at this time. My take on this, the teams have too much power, and Riot fucked up when they first started LCS. They tried to correct their mistake when they made Valorant's league, which I think is a very healthy system. In fact, I think they should probably have more teams get relegated because their current rate makes it a little bit slow for a minor league team like our Moist Moguls to make it to the franchised major leagues. It's only 1 team from all of North and South America per year.
Wow.
It's not very fast, but it is better than League, where there's no chance to go to the major leagues. And for a long time, it feels like teams in League of Legends have used their spot in League of Legends as a speculative asset. It's like owning a house in esports. They hope that the esport grows, they hold their spot that they bought for 10 mil, and then they sell it for a lot more millions later on. This is exactly what Misfits did when they sold their League of Legends spot over in Europe for allegedly like over $25 million.
That's insane. Yeah, $25 million for that shit. Holy fuck.
Crazy. That's crazy how much value they're able to gain. And because of that, the teams, they just hold all the power. And I don't want to call anyone out, but it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me that you can have a team like Dignitas, who bought their team from Clutch Gaming in 2020, be this consistently dogshit with zero repercussions. They have barely ever made playoffs. They're consistently the bottom of the leaderboard. And once in 2022, they made the playoffs with a 1-3 record, only to get eliminated by Team Liquid. And then in the summer season, what do?
Man.
They went 3-15.
Ooh.
All right. And what do they do in the most recent season, the spring 2023 season? Oh, a back-to-back 3-15. A rare double dogshit performance. And there is no punishment for that at all. There's no expectation that they need to get better.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If they don't, then they'll get relegated and somebody else will take their spot. They're just able to be dogshit in perpetuity. And eventually, if the league scene grows, sell their spot for more than they bought it for. That's just the current system, and I don't think they have the power to change it as a whole. Now, I do think, even though that exists, they should be adding new slots. I understand that it would dilute the pool because they do get between, I think it's been reported, $1.5 to $3 million from the league revenue pool, and they would have to share that with another spot. But I don't know. I think that's fine. I think they should be sharing it. I think they're...
The important thing is that people watch the events. And if people don't watch the events, everything else dies. Eventually, the money will dry up and people will lose interest. So everything should move towards like the end goal of getting people involved and invested into watching the events. So like whether it's and the thing is, like, this is why StarCraft 2 was always so popular. People would watch the events, same as fighting games. A lot of fighting games, the reason why watching them is so popular is because you don't know whenever it's going to turn into a fighting real life game. People get pissed off at each other, throw the controllers, Smash Brothers, like talking shit, storming off. Like back in the, back in the StarCraft 2 days, there was this guy, his name was Idra, and this guy was just like a massive dickhead. And like, this is what people remember. Like, I don't remember anybody else really from StarCraft competitive scene, like maybe a couple of other people, but I remember him because it was interesting. And I'm so sick of these fucking people that are trying to make esports as like prim and proper as Major League Baseball. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? This is a video game. Let people act like clowns. Like, really? Like, it's a fucking entertainment show. Who cares how good they are at the game if they're fucking boring?
Should be some sort of sweat from the teams and culpability to perform at a high level. That's the whole point of a thriving competitive ecosystem.
Hot
is that
mics,
teams feel pressure to perform well. And this isn't like the NFL or the NBA, where the dogshit teams get to draft first to get the best.
Yeah, sure. And somebody said, "What then? Sponsors get mad." You know what else sponsors get mad about? Showing their ads to people that aren't there. Is they get told, "Oh, it's going to be this many people watching," then it's not. That's what's going to make them even more mad.
Upcoming talent, because there is no real good upcoming talent in North America. Teams often get better by spending out their ass to get teams from Europe, China, or Korea. Okay, what about the other points? Well, Riot talked about the ask that you pay the 5 people who won the minor league summer finals, and they said, that's not really sustainable. And then what about the 3/5 continuity rule, where players get to play together if they want to without the teams having control over it? And they said, we want to give power to the teams. So in this conversation, it seems like Riot Games has decided in LCS to give all the power to the teams, which I think creates an imbalance of power between teams and players. I think there's too much power in teams, and I don't think they're doing good with their power, and I think they are the reason that LCS is crumbling as a whole. And Riot should reverse that by giving more power to players. And again, I think Riot knows this because they fixed all the mistakes they made setting up their league competitive ecosystem.
There is a good chance that Ludwig is right about this, that the players should have more input than the teams do, because the teams are primarily focused around making money, whereas the players are primarily focused around winning games. Like, these teams are, this is for sponsors, they're reselling their slots, etc. I do think that it should be players first. Now, obviously, it's not between the players and the teams. It's really like Riot decides. Riot is God here. They just decide what's going to happen. And even if everybody in the LCS right now quits, by next year they'll have an entirely new set of people playing, and they'll be playing for whatever Riot tells them they'll play for. Because the truth is, there's a lot of money to be made in it, and there's a lot of careers to be made in it too. That's just how it is. Until individual players have brand power themselves, they can't have a bargaining agreement. They're too replaceable. And that's the problem, is that whenever you have players that are boring, and you have people that are like, what do? I play League of Legends. Well, who gives a fuck about that? Like, yeah, you can be that guy if you're Messi, sure. But, like, let's be honest. There are way more interesting people that, like, let's see, who's that one guy that, the guy that pulled, the NBA guy, I think it's like Ja Morant or whatever. Bro, I love him. Like, he's talking about beating the shit out of people on, like, Ja Morant. Yeah, bro, he is my favorite player right now. Because he's pulling out a gun while he's driving around. He's going and, like, trying to get in fights on, like, a court. Like, that's interesting to me. That's something that's worth watching. Because I don't care about the integrity of the game at all. I just want to be entertained. So whenever something stupid happens, that makes it more fun. Really, like, that's how I don't care. Who gives a fuck about that?
System when they set up their Valorant competitive ecosystem. The players do have a lot of power because 5 people can straight up get into the minor leagues without a team at all. And from there, they have the ability to get to the major leagues. We've seen that with people like Turtle Troop, who are 1 game away from making it to the playoffs for a chance to compete to make it to the major leagues. That's crazy. And they don't have a team that represents them. That is a lot of power that players hold that they cannot hold in League of Legends. Now you can read the rest of the article to see what Riot said about all the asks from the player association.
And it also is a problem, like, if you have people that just don't bring in, like, a, they don't have, like, their own following. Like, how is somebody going to get a following and get popular playing League of Legends? Well, they have to do it on, like, Twitch, right? Who are the popular... Like, whenever I think of the most popular League of Legends players, or at least, like, the ones that I know of right now, there's obviously T1. Obviously Tyler 1. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. There's, Faker. Double Lift. Yep, let's see. Besides that, there's that one guy, Dantes, on Twitter. I don't even know if he's good at the game, but he's funny. T1 even said most of the pros don't do anything to promote in a league. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's not a lot of people that are that exciting to watch other than just watching them play League. Bjergsen? I didn't know if he still even played. He played like 10 years ago, right?
But the skinny of it is no. No across the board to every single thing they asked for.
Ashoka's
Not only no,
Does
but
he play
if
on
you
that
don't
level?
get your teams and your players to get on that
And that
stage
seems
in
boring,
2 weeks,
yeah.
we've already delayed it. We're not going to delay it again. We will cancel the summer split as a whole. Not only will we cancel the summer split, but we will cancel North America's attendance into Worlds. You guys won't even be able to go to the Super Bowl if you don't listen to our requests to play.
That's it. And that's what you can do whenever you're God. And I hope all these people, everybody else, it's like buying up and investing in these esports teams realizes that everything that you do, you are building a foundation on sand. And if the company decides to change things or people's interests change, all of the money that you invested, it goes into the garbage.
That's it, plain and simple. Now, there do seem to be some conversations and negotiations that have opened up between the Player Association and Riot Games, which hopefully creates some amicable solution. But they got a problem over at Riot Games headquarters, and I think the solution is actually allow teams to join from the minor leagues. I think that's it. I think full stop. All right? And maybe you don't even give them in the rev share. Maybe you pay them out. You subsidize it for some amount of years and then slowly trickle them into the rev share. I don't know. But do something to help NA League because it is dog shit right now and it needs to get better so that esports as a whole can get better. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you later, guys. Subscribe. Have a good one. See you later. Goodbye. Have a good one. Goodbye.
All right. I think the problem is that it's boring players. That's it. Boring players. Boring players, boring games. Do you remember that one time there was this one guy in the league tournament that did a front flip onto the stage? He did like a Dark Souls roll. Faker? Was that Faker? Yeah, that was probably one of the coolest things that's ever happened in a league event. Isn't that just fucking, like, that's so sad. Like, I never see anything exciting about this. It's not just boring players, but they're importing players who are mediocre in their home regions. NA is just mediocre at its finest. Maybe. I don't even know what to say. Every sport today is boring like robots. No, I don't think so. I think basketball is entertaining. I think basketball is the only sport that I would say is entertaining to watch. And, like, the players do all kinds of crazy shit. Like LeBron. UFC is actually another really good point. Yeah. Like, yeah, UFC also is some dumbass shit that happens all the time. Basketball's ass? I think basketball is great. I do say that I probably would like UFC more. I just don't really watch a lot of it because I just don't really spend a lot of time watching stuff. But, yeah. What's this here? McGregor was so entertaining. Yeah, McGregor was a complete fucking dickhead, an absolute asshole, totally trashy, and he was so great for UFC because he was like the perfect villain. It's like people either loved him or they loved to hate him. It's the same as like Jake Paul. Everybody tunes in to watch Jake Paul fight because they either want to see him win or they want to see him lose. It's one or the other. Watch Tyler One's take on this. All right, let's watch this.
You know what, the LCS walkout? Dude, why do people come here and ask me this? I told you. Listen, I'll say it one more time. Okay, so my whole thing with this is, I've been saying for years, every single player in Academy, as soon as they feel like they've made it. Academy players feel like they've made it. A lot of them stop playing solo queue. They've already played LCS and dropped to Academy. It's like a comfortable home, and they get an Academy and they're comfortable, and they're just paycheck thieves. They just get money for free, like $70K a year for free for doing the bare minimum of anything, right? There's no brand. They're not making the orgs they're in stronger. They're not popular. There's nothing. They're not doing anything. So they're
they're just playing League of Legends. Like, the fuck?
Somebody said it's like 75 per player. It's like 600,000 a year. Bro, that's just bleeding. There's no org is keeping that, like making that money back. I'd say out of the 600,000, whatever that it was for an Academy team, I'm just gonna dodge. Anyway, what was I saying? So let's say an Academy team, they have to pay them like 600 salary grand. I don't know if that includes housing, whatever. Bro, I would argue that out of that $600,000 that per year an LCS team is getting from that, probably less than $50,000 worth of revenue, if anything. So it's just a bleed. There's bleeding.
So nobody's spending money on the teams. People aren't buying they're not buying the jerseys.
You could say, well, it's to develop talent. Bro, those Academy players are not leaving Academy. 90% of Academy, they will never, ever, 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 ever see LCS. Never. Never. They know that. The pros know that. The coaches know that. Everybody knows that. They're not going to ever touch the LCS. Everybody knows it. So it's like a comfortable place for them to like slowly eat paychecks. For like nothing. Sure, they maybe
He's talking about the NACS teams, right? Or NACL or whatever the fuck? Yeah, he is. Okay, the minor league. I mean, this is a very, very good point. Why are they being paid to do nothing?
The LCS team, sure they maybe do this, do that, but whatever. Okay? And it's been like this way for years, by the way. Years. You see these guys in solo queue, then you stop seeing them. As soon as so-and-so gets signed to Academy, boom, you stop seeing them ever. The biggest one was like Johnson was huge. He was a solo queue grinder, blah, blah, blah. He got him Academy, he had a brief... Wait, is Johnson is he still starting for a team? I don't know. He's in LCS, but you don't see this kid at all. Whatever, bro. It is what it is, right? Then we go to the pride. Nobody watches
So
that.
what he's saying basically is as soon as they get signed to a team, they view that as like... That's like that's their retirement plan? Like, okay, finally. You know, now I can calm down. Now I can stop grinding. Yeah.
Shit, nobody cares. It's just filled up with the old NA pros that has dropped down so they can comfortably make money as their... By the way, this is all like friendships, by the way. They all just comfortably make money in Academy when they're not good enough to play in the LCS anymore for God knows how long. Don't give me this, oh, it's to nurture innate talent. Nobody, it's on both the teams and the players. Nobody is brought up from academy. I'm sorry, bro. It's so fucking rare. They're just imported or it's the same old players recycled. It's so hard to get brand new players. No, man. So if you're not taking players from academy anyway, you might as well just stop paying for it. So I feel like people are striking and people are upset. Bro, what was it even doing anyway? Like I said, there's people crying about it. Well, no, NA talent. Bro, if we're being honest, there's not any, there hasn't been NA talent in years anyway. Why are we just now mad about it? Because, oh, there's no NA talent, so now finally, we're just going to stop bleeding money. We don't have any NA talent anyway, and we're just going to cancel the teams. But people are like, well, no, we need the teams to have NA talent. There is no NA talent. Nobody was getting promoted anyway. So what they need is they need the teams, so when their time in the LCS is done, they have a nice little safety blanket. Or if they have a bad split, instead of just getting kicked, they just go to academy and still low-key make money. It doesn't do anything. No one even watched NALCL. Well, okay, yes. So it was a dead nobody ever watched it anyway. But also, I'm arguing it didn't do anything regardless. So yes, nobody watched, but none of the players were getting brought up anyway. So it doesn't matter.
I would trust him on this, right? I mean, this dude, doesn't Tyler play League like 12 hours a day? I mean, I don't know how you can do that, by the way. Like, I really don't get it. But yeah, this is what he does.
So if nobody watched, but a considerable amount of players were promoted to LCS.
Yeah, if Riot wants to get more people to watch LCS, bring Tyler 1 into LCS. Do that. Why don't we make things exciting?
Then sure. But nobody watched.
Yeah.
95% of the players didn't see any LCS. I don't know, bro. Why the fuck was it around for so long? I don't know. It shouldn't have been. Orgs did it to themselves, though. I'm not saying that's not the truth. There's for sure players that should have got signed from academy that never seen LCS. For sure. I'm not saying that's not the case. Yes, there's no passion. NA pros have no passion. Bro, I've been saying it. They get their fucking spot. Swap me, you piece of shit. Who's one of the players not promoting LCS? Again, that's the orgs and the coaching positions. Which it's not like all the coaches and all the faculty and the staff of the team is not NA. There's some not NA, but they should have also tried. The thing about that is, players who do try and don't fucking pop off at the beginning are instantly dropped back down to academy. So like that's a good spot for them. But they're never brought. It's going to be Kane top, but they're never brought back up. Even though it's a waste of time based on a single record. Yeah, true. And then on top of all this shit, we suck. And again, I mean they suck. LCS, NA sucks. So it's like, dude, we just need to like pick our hill to die on. Do we want to? So we're already gonna suck, right? Do we want to pretend that we care, or do we want to embrace sucking and just become like full for fun content?
Yeah.
Seriously, Academy's all ex-LCS washed up players. Not all of it, but majority. Yes, a lot of it. Yes, bro.
Jesus.
Yes. And players who will never be given a shot. So what is the point of having an academy team in the first place? There is none. There is no point. So they said, "Fuck it," got rid of them, saved themselves millions over the years.
Yeah, that's
Fudge,
yeah.
Licorice, IMT, Immortals lineup, Lucio, Tenacity, JoJo, Danny, all from Academy. How did like all but like 6 of those players do, or all but like 3 of those players do, right? And when did they get into the league and start? Bro, that's like one split, and they've both bounced around. They've almost all bounced around from Academy to LCS to Academy to LCS, like just bouncing back and forth.
Jesus, man. God fucking damn.